Hello and welcome to the Cargill Community Kitchen. My name is Meryl Fury and I'm host of Plant Curious. Today we're going to talk about how to spice up your food. Now, this is Plant Curious, and I think a fair number of you have been watching our shows and you have an idea of what being Plant Curious is all about. But do you have any idea of how deep and how broad the flavor profiles can be in plant-based cooking? It's wild. You can't believe it. I love this stuff. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm a food nerd. Okay. So let me get you in deep with some of these spices. They're amazing. There are more herbs and more spices than you can even imagine. And it's way beyond your Italian herb mix and your taco seasoning. There's just a world of flavors out here. These are my top 10s in herbs and spices. This stuff just warms my heart, okay? Let's start with, and this is in no particular order. Actually, I had a terrible time picking my top 10 of either of these. But let's start with some that I use often. This one is thyme. Thyme is something that's in your Italian seasoning mix very often. Very aromatic. This is something you would often find in a spaghetti sauce, right? Beautiful stuff. Leaves, it's an herb. You know, while I'm telling you this, I'm going to tell you some of the difference between herbs and spices, because that's a good question, you know? So herbs tend to be leafy green plants, right? Or flowers. That's what we're going to call herbs. They tend to be to break down quickly in cooking, so they would be used more often added at the end of cooking a dish. Spices tend to be firmer. They're more things like clove, which is actually buds of flowers. Very hard. You can hear how hard they are. They tend to be spicier. These are little red peppers called chili piquin. Or they can be woody. This is cinnamon stick, which is the bark of a tree, right? They can be seeds. This is coriander. Or they can be whole nuts, like a nutmeg, right? Okay, let me get back to the herbs. Tarragon, a great spice for soups, used often in French cooking. Has a little bit of a flavor of kind of licorice or fennel. Beautiful. Very light, very crisp, very clean. Often used in things like herbs de Provence or French cooking, like I said. This one is peppermint. Peppermint is a great herb for upset stomachs. Great for making tea out of. Of course, everybody's familiar with peppermint gum or peppermint mouthwash, peppermint toothpaste, right? But peppermint is great for healing tissues and upset stomachs if you use it for tea. This one is rosemary. Rosemary is very potent. Almost like a pine tree is how it grows, but small. This is ground rosemary. And then we have rosemary leaves. You can find these plants growing around Christmas time. They sell them as little dwarf Christmas trees very often. Also one that would be used in Italian cooking. But again, very strong. Used moderately and with caution, in my opinion. This is basil. Basil is often sold fresh. You can grow it in your garden almost anywhere. Great stuff, basil. Also potent. And for Italian cooking, a lot. Also in Asian cooking, Thai cooking uses basil, either this form or Thai basil, which is a little bit different version, but very similar. Yum. I could do this a lot and all day. This one is oregano. Now, this one is for sure well used in American flavor profiles. A lot of Mexican cooking and Italian cooking uses oregano. Also in Tex-Mex type cooking as well. There is a Turkish oregano, which is more for your Italian style flavors, and then there's Mexican oregano, which is what you'll find in Mexican food. This one is parsley. Parsley we get fresh and dried. Whoops. Parsley's super easy to find. This is a bunch of parsley, usually about less than $1 for a bunch, easily. Available dried, often used as a like a decoration or a garnish on salads or different kinds of dishes. Also really good for making salads out of, like tabbouleh is a great one that uses a lot of parsley. This one is cilantro, used a lot in Indian cooking, a lot in Mexican cooking. Cilantro is a staple. It's great. It's used actually all over the world. African cooking, Middle Eastern cooking, terrific stuff. So those are my favorite 10 herbs. Now we're going to move over to the spices. Spices are, for me, they give a dish its like pow, base, you know, it really like anchors the dish for me. Two great ones are paprika. There's sweet paprika and they're smoked. Smoke will give you that smoky flavor. Let's say you can't get your grill started because it's 27 below and you live in Milwaukee and it's January, so you're not going to start your grill. But you do want that smoky flavor. Smoked paprika will work. Sweet paprika gives you the same feeling, but it's not smoky. Great in a lot of the Spanish dishes, as in originating in Spain, like paellas and things like that. This one is clove. You can have ground cloves or you can have whole cloves. Clove is great in Indian cooking, great for baking, great for like those sweet potato pies, pumpkin pies. Pie spice is going to have clove. Also in some apple pies, things like that. These cloves, I think I mentioned earlier, are actually the buds of a tree that grows in India. Very aromatic. These are little hot peppers. Any type of hot pepper that you like will do fine. I prefer chili piquin. These at one time were the hottest pepper known to man. Not so much anymore. I think now there's ghost peppers and other things like that. But these are really, really good. Very smoky. You can get them fairly inexpensively, and to put them on food, you just crush them. They're great. Don't use too much though, because they're really hot. Cinnamon comes in stick, or you can get it ground. Everyone probably is familiar with cinnamon, if only in the form of cinnamon rolls, cinnabons, right? The stick is used in curries, as are clove and some of these other spices down here. Actually, we simmer the stick with onion and clove and a little bit of coconut milk. Amazing for making a curry. We'll make one of those on another episode. This one is cardamom. Between cardamom and saffron, those are the two most expensive spices in the world. Cardamom is often used in baking, more in European and Indian dishes, not too frequently and not too common in the United States, but really, really fragrant. It almost smells like a perfume, like flowers. And these are the seed pods. These you'll find cooked whole in Indian dishes, like pilaus and rice and things like that. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. This is cumin. You can get it in seed, whole seeds, or ground. Very often used in Mexican cooking, used in Indian cooking. It gives that deep, rich combination that goes so nicely with the next one, which is coriander. Also in Indian cooking and Mexican cooking. You get the whole seeds, and you have the ground powder. This one is nutmeg. Nutmeg comes whole, And you can just grate this. If you get a fine grater, you just grate that right into whatever you're making, or you can buy it ground already. Also, very potent, exceptionally potent. Like, it doesn't take more than a pinch in most things, a quarter teaspoon or so, and you've got plenty. And the last one is turmeric. Turmeric is actually a root, frequently used in Indian cooking, also found ground. Between turmeric, cinnamon, and cinnamon together are actually very powerful for anti-inflammatory. Really great. I use cinnamon and turmeric together if I'm ever starting to get a headache, for joint pain and achiness. Turmeric and cinnamon together, either ground in capsules or make a tea. Eat it like that. It's great. Works well for pain in the body. And that is it for our herbs and spices today. Thanks so much for joining us at Plant Curious Cargill Community Kitchen. We'll see you next time.